What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Huddle, your weekly playbook helping you gain forward progress in your career. Simply put, we're here to help you guys win. For our new viewers, welcome to the team. And for the guys on this call, welcome back, fellas. What's happening?
What's
How's
going
it
on,
going?
brother?
How's it going, Paul?
We got
How's it going,
Jorge
everybody?
and, as always, Mr. Daniel and Jose Gonzalez out of Grand Rapids. Jorge, you're in Texas. Where at?
San Antonio?
San Antonio. Jorge, extraordinaire.
Perfect weather right now.
Is it? It's
Yeah,
pretty
just
nice up here in Kansas City. I'm up at our Kansas City this office today, so a little different scenery. For everybody, please give us a like, subscribe, give us ideas for your topics, and keep that algorithm churning over on YouTube and Facebook and wherever you watch this podcast. Let us know you're listening.
All of the
Get on here
places.
live and communicate with us. Let us know what you're thinking. Today's topic is training that sticks. It's kind of a continuance from last week's podcast, but uh, we're kind of going to dive into building a culture of continuous learning. And so, like I said, if you was with us last week, this is going to be a little bit of a continuation of that. Uh, you know, Building a culture of continuous learning. As you can see, two of the guys got CFI shirts on, and no better place to get trained and certified than CFI if you're in the carpet vinyl arena. They do some ceramic tile training, but I should say, we are really strong in the carpet and resilient world. So, our episode is sponsored today by Shag Tools, so you'll be seeing a little info from them. Reach out to Shag and use them. Buy some materials, buy some tools, buy some stuff. Make sure they know that the Huddle sent you. And with that, we'll get started. So, gentlemen, continuous learning, training, those are things that we talk about all the time on this podcast and how important it is. I'm sure that people think we're a broken record because it always comes up, but the truth is, it's the only way that we are going to get better. I will go around and kind of talk about some of the successes and failures we've had in both maybe being trained as well as last week we were talking about mentorship, but being trained or some I'm sure we all have been in this long enough to have a few horror stories of training others and some of the difficulties there. But you know, there's no replacement for it. If you
No.
learn from a friend on the job doing a skilled trade, there's still no replacement for like industry training. I know that a lot of people think they don't need it. I think Jorge could probably speak up here. I'd love to get your guys' take on that. The the people who just kind of learn as they go and go to it,
Or
go to
or think they know everything already?
yeah, and they go to their first training. And I've heard this from just about anybody that's went through their first certification or their first training, I should say, their first class, their first course. Um, Jorge, did how did you do? Let's start with you, sir. When you weren't CFI from the beginning, you didn't come up and be in the industry for 3 months and say, you know what, I'm going to go get CFI trained. Is that how did your career get going?
well, I've always done flooring with my father, and he learned off of other people um, throughout the years. He was never certified until we ended up getting a certification through Lowe's. And I'm one of those guys. I came through Lowe's, right? Some people always say, "Oh, the guys from Lowe's," and there's very few installers that are out there that are actually good, really, really good, and clean, and do things. And yes, they work for all kinds of entities, right? Uh, but I was one that stuck with it. And in 2013, we got our certification. Robert Varden and Jonathan Varden came through at that time with CFI, and we got our certification. And we had clean installations. I would still read all my information from the CRI info, and I would try to follow it as much as I can. But yeah, once they came through, we learned a bunch of stuff through them. Went through the training process and scored pretty well. And after that, I didn't do anything for a long time. I didn't end up doing anything till like COVID. I got back on track with CFI and stuff for a while. I just it wasn't in my my agenda to seek out CFI for anything because I didn't know there was anything going on at the time. So after COVID, I said, you know what? Let me go back on online, LinkedIn. Maybe I need to find another job. And then when I was looking on there, I found people from CFI doing training stuff. There was a lot of free classes, courses for stuff online, not through them, but through other entities where you could learn a bunch of stuff at home during that time. So I just started networking and getting back on it. And one thing that I had a challenge was on a lot of the natural fiber stuff. I was getting a lot of the natural fiber stuff, and I really was looking at it the same as regular tufted carpets, regular standard action back stuff, soft bag. But once I got into the natural goods, I was a little bit lost, and that's where I started asking the questions later during that COVID time. Just how do I do this? How do I be better at cutting the seam? And people like Chris Sessom were people that I reached out to, and they were real good at just giving feedback and just telling me, hey, you know what, you need to come out here and learn some of that stuff through NFIC. And eventually I ended up meeting all you cool guys at convention, and that's how it started. So it took one person to let me know, hey, maybe you need help somewhere in this section of your work, and this is the way to go about it.
Yeah, did you have that eye-opening moment as well during after your first training? Like, dude, I actually learned some stuff. I kind of thought I
Yeah, I was
knew
like, man,
everything, and then
I learned something, and I was like, man, I really sucked at doing that seam that couple times. And sometimes you don't know because you don't get the feedback. The clients will just never hire you again, and you don't know if you did a good job, bad job. Of course, in the beginning they're going to say, oh, great job, but what really happens to that carpet after years, 2-3 years down the line, somebody vacuums it, maybe I didn't seal it correctly, I didn't do the right process. And some of these things you don't hear later on, but it was an eye opener for me because I realized I need to do things a little bit different to
that's
make
a
sure this
really
is
good
secure.
point. That's a really good
Yeah.
point talking about, how customers, and frankly, how customers will deal with those things if they're not completely satisfied. They just won't hire you again. So you don't get that immediate feedback like you do in training. Hey, that's not right. And what I was going to say is, frankly, that that the install a lot of times can be done incorrectly and still look good day one through day 60. I mean, like a lot of the problems that we had when we did a fair amount of residential, we would get calls to go re-stretch people's jobs, and it'd be only 6 months ago that it got installed, or a seam's coming apart and it was just installed. Well, they didn't find out until they did their first steam cleaning or their first hot water extraction, and then all of a sudden the problems. Well, a good quality industry standard, like proper installation, that a cleaning is not going to hurt it. It actually helps it. But if it's not installed correctly, a cleaning can cause problems. And that's a lot of what I seen. And we don't do it a lot of residential now, but we had a stint there back in the early 2000s. We did a fair amount, and that was one of the things that came back. And so I wanted to point out that your customer is not, it's not a good way to learn going out and getting, a happy customer, because a lot of times they don't know what they're looking for, and they don't know the problem's going to be there for, months, if not a couple of years down the road.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
funny
that
you say
goes
that
to
about
that.
the restretch. Sorry, go
Well, go
ahead.
ahead, bro.
Well, it's funny you say that about the restretch because I just picked up a custom builder and a couple years ago, and I've been going back to do the restretches on some of the homes. And I did one recently, and the guy was like, "I've always gone to a home that already had carpet, so I've never experienced an installation where somebody came at that time and installed something, and they didn't use that thing with the poles that you're using. They just used their knee, and they were so yeah. This guy had big ripples in his carpet, and they were starting to crease. And he goes, I don't know what to do. Should I, just change out all my carpet? I go, no. I go, your carpet's 6, 7 years old, and I mean, that's a family that makes you take your shoes off when you get in that home. So it looks pretty much brand new, the carpet. And I was like, no, I'll stretch those wrinkles out in your whole house. It was like 1,600 square feet upstairs, right? Everything connected. And we ended up taking the ripples out, and he was just, wow, it looks like it's brand new again. And I was like, yeah, somebody just didn't do what they were supposed to. And I go, do you clean it? Because some manufacturers require for you to clean it so many times a year due to warranty purposes, maybe.
Hmm.
And he's like, no, I've never really done anything because I think the water might hurt it. And I was like, wow, it looks like it's
Fantastic for
no
that, huh?
stains or anything. Yeah. So, yeah, something as simple as maybe doing it while the carpet's ugly like that and unstretched and wrinkled might hurt it. But once we stretched it out with a stretcher, I mean, you can clean it and do whatever you need to do, and it should be fine. If it keeps on
Yeah.
doing it after that, then it's going to be a manufacturing defect because I stretched at least
Allegedly.
2 inches out of it in some spots. So,
Or delamination or something like that. You never know, right?
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
What I was
that
going to
that
do earlier,
immediate feedback on training is like key. That's key to learning. Like, no, that's not the right way to do it. Do it this way. That's automatic feedback, and you just don't get that from the field a lot of
yeah,
times anyway, unless you have a mechanic right over you or a master installer that you're working with and that's teaching you, and there's plenty of those people that came up and learned on the job and do good work, but there's always something you're going to pick up at training.
always 100% accurate. And I just wanted to add to what Jorge was saying about I didn't hear anything from the clients, right? And you hear it a lot. No news is good news, right? But sometimes that's not always the case. Like, and this is a prime example where no news, probably not good news. That means that they didn't tell anybody how well you did. That means that no one's calling you saying, "Hey, my friend's name is Susie. You did her flooring and she loved it, and so I'm calling you because I want a similar thing done." That that's no news is not always good news.
True that. That means no referral, and that means it could be something that's not great that they're just not telling you to.
Right. Kevin says right here, and I'll pop it up again. The best thing he saw on a sign in the workroom was, and I think we've said this before, what if we train them and they leave? What if we don't train them and they stay?
Hmm. That's the key, is having untrained staff out there installing for you. So it gets back to the topic that training that sticks is training that's frequent. That's kind of where I think is important. One of the things install wise that helps is if you learn almost every skill somewhat similar. You learn it, someone teaches you, or sometimes you learn the hard way. But let's say you go through education and then you go apply it, and a lot of people are like, I've got to do the thing to get better at it, and that's most of us. You got to actually go do the thing. Sitting in a classroom by itself is not the thing, but you get that knowledge, you get some of those hand skills through your hands-on training, and then you go out into the field and apply it, and then you go back to training and you do a little bit of reinforcement. That's where I think some of our training entities could build some CEU classes that would be super affordable to go. Some affordable CEU classes would be nice, like refresher type things.
I think
Yeah,
you're
I
spot
think
on.
looking at just like simple stuff like seam sealing residential carpet, like we still run into guys that are like, you don't have to seam seal carpet, and then you have to explain to them the reason why you seam seal. It's not to hold the seam together, man. It's to hold the carpet together at the seam.
Yeah, we're
And
talking residential, but I still am amazed. I got a big job going on now that I'm amazed at how much carpet tile gets just stuck over old broadloom glue. You know, it is. I just did a demo and I was like, how is this there? It looks like hell anyway, but you assume that it looks like hell because the age and we're going in to replace it, obviously. But who knows how long it looked that bad, curled and just gnarly.
Hey,
And
bro, glue's glue, right?
yeah,
That's what they say. Glue's glue. Oh, it sticks. It's good.
Back in
yeah,
my day, Montalban.
That's yeah, because I mean, even online, you see all these guys that are like posting pictures, and then they're like, "Hey, do I need to remove this?" And then a lot of us are like, "Yes," but then you got those guys that are like, "Just skim it and go." And it's like
yeah,
what we say all the time is read the instructions, right? And on every instruction, it says to remove the adhesive. So
yeah. We
maybe
pretty
these
much
guys
have a
just don't
standard
know how to
that
read.
we pretty much just have a standard. Like if you don't, as a company, if you don't reinforce the industry standards, it can be a problem. Guys will try to get away with stuff. And even when you do your best, guys will try to get away with stuff. I had a project a few years back with a bunch of Mohawk that curled up everywhere, and we pulled it back, and the sub had freaking got paid to remove the adhesive and didn't remove it. Night job, that kind of thing. Like we are very clear about it and still sometimes fail, but the truth is our company standard is get down to concrete. Clean, porous, dry concrete.
We have the standard as well, and we do our very best to 100% of the time follow specs and everything to a T. Sometimes, obviously, it doesn't always happen like that. You gotta kind of you get a curveball. You gotta figure it out. You gotta go with the flow. But for the most part, all adhesive comes out, all of it.
Yeah,
When I
I
say
mean, I
most part,
won't
like
lie.
99.9%.
There's times when when the customer just does not want the dust or the issue or whatever. It's a remodel, and we just let them know. We definitely are going to skim it, and I've skimmed a lot of floors over the years. Um, One of the reasons I sell a certain particular brand of carpet is because the adhesive situation where I don't have to necessarily get every bit of it off, particularly on the remodel work. But there's really only one brand that allow you to do that. So um, truth is it's just better to get to concrete if you can, but you can't always. But that's also where that knowledge. Oh, we lost Jorge.
He probably got a
That's
phone call.
also where that knowledge of what you can and when you can get away with something, it's the exception becoming the rule that we have to not do. Like guys go in and see broadloom adhesive and they automatically think skimming. You should first be automatically think removal, you know, and know when you can get away with skimming and when you absolutely when it has to be done or something. And then obviously how to do it and which patch to use and which additives
There you go.
in your patch to use. And then there's times where, and I know you guys have these situations too, but there's times where even with a carpet that can be installed over, or a carpet tile that can be installed over old broadloom adhesive, the adhesive might be too thick. And we just tell them there's no way, we can't go over it. It's too thick. This is 3 layers of broadloom that's been put down. Back in the day when we did broadloom, you never removed the glue. You just tore out the old broadloom, vacuumed the floor, and put down new.
I
You
just
never.
I just went and looked at one downtown over here not too long ago. It's 100-year-old building, and I mean it's been remodeled, right? So they did put underlayment and stuff down at one point, but then it was broadloom adhesive, and then a layer of patch, and then more broadloom adhesive, and then a layer of patch, and then pressure sensitive adhesive, and then a layer of patch, and then another pressure sensitive, and it's like,
Dang.
Yeah.
It's like a half inch of stuff.
And you said the exception becomes the rule, right? But for each rule, there are also exceptions, and manufacturers who created systems in order to help you out to where you, I don't want to say don't have to remove everything, but they definitely save some time and some muscle. They put you in a position of success.
Yeah, that's the point, though. You got to know what the rule is to know when you're doing the exception.
Yeah,
and that's where, some of these trainings come into play too, or just getting to know your reps in general, because then you can, contact a rep. And we've been on one where, they were like, it was a time crunch type thing, and it's like, hey, can we go over this adhesive? And then sometimes they go in their records and they're like, you know what, the last time that was installed, that's our product, that's our adhesive, the new one's still compatible, so just do it. You can go right over it if you wanted to,
Yeah,
but
knowing
just
your
don't
rep
assume.
and knowing having people that you can get in touch with. I mean, all else fails for all the installers out there. Never be scared to um, look up a manufacturer and call their tech department.
Right, it's either that, or you talk to people like Chad after the fact when he's inspecting your stuff, right? And he's saying the
he
seam
don't want to
sealer.
talk to you though. He prefer not to talk to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
here's a reply from
from
to
Raul.
Kevin from Raul. Uh, Train people well enough so they can leave. Treat them well enough they don't want to. That's another great saying.
Sure is.
Yeah, and part of that, when people do studies, you've probably read these studies where um, there is um, sorry, I just was reading something, but you've read these studies. Sorry about that. You've read these studies where people are not just they don't just stay at a place for money. They stay at a place for the culture, for the training, for the advancement opportunities. Those are things people stay around for. For the opportunity to grow. And speaking of opportunities, have we got one for you? Shag Tools is our sponsor today, and we would like to uh, give you a quick ad from Shag. Remember to use code Huddle10 to get 10% off of your purchase. Yeah, baby, Shag Tools got every brand and every tool you need to do your next project correctly. So plays right into training. You got to have the right tools. Go to Shag Tools and use Huddle code Huddle10 Huddle code. Use the promo code Huddle10 and check out what Shag's got, man. Having the right
Do that.
tools will take you a long way, adds
That
efficiency.
pulls up.
You don't have to shortcut corners when you got the right tools with Shag Tools.
Shagalicious.
Nope.
Shagalicious.
Opened right up, brother. Opened right up. I had to test it real live time.
Sweet. So yeah, speaking of training and all the tools and stuff, as those things change every day and the adhesives change and systems change and you get new products, that's another reason why that consistent training that we talked about, is so important. And people will stay around if they show you invest in them, in training.
And every Monday we have a meeting with everyone, right? And that's what I continuously tell them. It's you gotta train yourself, and it doesn't have to be anything big, but the more knowledge that you gain, the better off you are when you can't be on the floor anymore. You can't just think that you're gonna do this until you retire, right? Because all it takes is that, something to happen to your knee and then you're done. And what are you gonna do in order to keep up?
Yeah, and that knowledge comes from learning and training, and you don't get um, a lot of the guys that have the hardest time in the industry to transfer over or to um, convert over to, say, a sales rep or something like that, is the ones who they only learned from, say, an uncle or something like that. They don't know the industry lingo, they don't know the industry standards. And so a lot of times those are the guys that get, they install till they're like 75.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you can be like Chad, and I'm pretty sure he used to be an installer, talking to him, and now he's an inspector. And he says that installers don't like talking to him for some reason, but he
They don't
loves
like to
talking
see
to
them.
installers. And that's crazy to me, because anytime an inspector gets on my job, I'm like right there with them, asking them questions as they're inspecting. And the last few times, it was different inspectors, but they were like, "Can I take you out to lunch?" I was
Yeah,
like, "Absolutely. I'm fat."
I like food. I like tacos.
Taquitos, burritos.
All of them. All of the ethos.
Yeah, but hey, some people want to work forever. They don't want to get another job with, be a sales rep or an inspector, or
You're right.
Yeah, but
some people want to die on their knees. I know a lot of these guys are like, no, I'll never do that. And you're right. You know what? It comes with a little bit of more training. They only know so much and they want to stay there, but they're comfortable. That's fine.
and I'm down with that, to be honest with you. But the truth is that you still want to give yourself opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Like, give yourself as many opportunities as possible, and to do that is getting trained, getting educated. I'm still blown away by, like, a lot of the community's adverse um, attitude towards training, towards certifications. Like, it's nowhere else. It's in no other trade.
Part of that might be because the agenda through the educational system has always been pushing higher education, right? But they're like, I made a living in the trades without having to go to college. I don't know what you're talking about. And I think even I had that mindset, years ago, where I don't want to go to school. I don't want to learn anymore. I didn't. I didn't flourish in school. I mean, I did to a point, but
You
this
survived.
is really this is my own terms now. When I do my terms, it have to include more education. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter where you go or what you do. If you're not learning how to be better at what you're doing, you're stagnant. You're never going to move up. It doesn't matter if you're at a gas station, at McDonald's, at a flooring company, a drywaller. It doesn't matter what you do at. Um, if you're working a line at a factory, right? Like there's more than one line. You want to stay on
Yeah,
that one line.
yeah. Continued education, no matter what you're doing, is key. And I don't know if everybody heard you. Is a little bit echoey, but just to reiterate, you were you were talking about how important it is that no matter where you're at in the thing, you can still get better. That's what I see a lot of the really good guys, is they just feel like they can always be better. It's a strive to be really, really good, and not just good enough. Like, not just good enough to get pay at the end of the job or at the end of the week, but to be the best at what you're doing, to be one of the really good ones.
Right. So I brought up Simon Sinek a few times here, right? Because I constantly listen to this guy. His books are amazing. But I was listening to one of his podcasts last week, and he was saying that he was talking about leadership, right? And he said the best leaders out there don't say that they're the best. They're actually students of leadership. They're always constantly trying to learn. They're listening to the podcasts, listening to books, and always trying to learn. And I think that's what we need to kind of translate over into the field more. It's like it's not a bad thing that you're trying to learn. It can only make you better. And then I was talking to someone, I forget who, a few weeks ago, and they were like over here when like Home Depot, and I think it was just Home Depot or something, was trying to get all the guys to come together and do a certification, right? Bring CFI in. And then they said that Home Depot put an end to it. And they were like, why? They said, because the installers were talking about we're going to need more money if we're certified.
Jeez. Well, that's like a catch 22. They should get paid more money, but until the industry, that's a really terrible way to look at things, in my opinion.
Well,
But
especially one thing, I'm gonna stop you right there. One thing is, especially if they want more money, it depends if you invest in yourself or if the company's is investing in you. So if the company's gonna turn around and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna pay so much ahead, and we got 30 heads to go take the certification, we're gonna pick up the tab for so you guys can learn something. Automatically, you can't say, well, I deserve to get a whole lot more money or so much more money because of this, and maybe you should, right? But the thing is, did you actually pay for that? Because somebody else is
well,
paying for your
I
tab,
think
then I mean,
eventually you should, but even if somebody picks up your tab, but you can't just go get certified and then the next day think, especially like you just stated, Jorge, if the store's paying for it, um, and then just say, hey, thanks for the free education. Now pay me more money. I
yeah,
mean,
because every other trade, like if you're an electrician and plumbing, you got to go up that tier till you get to where you need to, so you
even
can make
doctors
more money. Yeah, everybody.
even doctors got to go through residency and do all that stuff, making 40, 50, 60,000 a year as a doctor, until they get through their residency. I mean, you got to go through the proof. You got to go through and be a good doctor, or be
Yeah,
a good carpet layer, or be a good tile setter.
I just
um,
feel it's more valuable when you. It's like when your parents buy a pair of shoes for you, or you buy your own pair of shoes. Which ones are you going
Totally
to take care
different.
of
Yep.
more?
Oops.
Usually, you're going to take care of the ones you bought because it hurt you to get that money, right, and spend it. So it's the same thing. That's the way I feel. Like when I paid for my things, I was like, man, this I really got to go and learn. Versus like when I was younger and somebody else is paying for my stuff, I was just like, you know what, I'll just sleep late today. And if I so I
yeah.
think there is a mindset that's a little different, and maybe that's just me, but I feel that if when you pay for things, they're a little bit more valuable, right, to you, because you spent your
You got
hard-earned
skin
money
in the
on,
game.
yeah,
It's
to get
I
that.
feel that in my soul, brother. Can you guys hear me
Yeah.
okay now?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I also think that, to go back to what you were saying, Daniel, just because, or I guess it was you, Jose, just because you didn't want to go to school, or you chose not to go to secondary education, and you chose the trades, that doesn't mean you don't get educated, right? That doesn't mean that education is now gone because you're in the trades. That's a really, that we could be taking it too far the other way, because you got college and you got the trades. I mean, that's kind of how it's been posed. And with college, you go incur debt for 4, 5, 6, 12 years, depending on what your profession is going to be. And then in the trade, the difference is not that you don't get educated; it's just you're typically learning on the job, and then you go get educated. Then you're learning on the job, and you go get educated. And you're learning on, so it's like shorter time frames, and a lot of your actual application of your knowledge is being paid. I mean, you're getting paid to do it. That's the apprenticeships in the trades. While we don't have great, like, outside the unions, we don't have a great apprenticeship style thing, but you can work towards increasing your knowledge base. If you're on Trade Tap, well, Go Carrera, which is soon to be known as Trade Tap, your score is going to always continue to get higher as you get more training and you get more education and more years of experience. And so trying to increase, that's just a metric that's applied to the same thing we're talking about, which is becoming, continuous education, continuously learning, and how that goes into this side effect. I think that guys find is the confidence, and not just in applying the products, but the confidence in going ahead and asking for a little bit more money, or bidding that job a little higher, and marketing yourself as, hey, I know I may be a little bit higher, but to tell you the truth, I've been through, 4 certifications or whatever the situation is. And, I've taken, multiple training courses, and I do everything per industry standard. And I offer, instead of just a 1-year warranty, a 2-year warranty. I'm so confident in my work.
That's
right?
That's a simple marketing program right there. I mean, there's nothing uncomfortable about what you just said.
Yeah, you just got to do it. Yeah, people want to work with. We did a podcast that showed that 33% or 30%, something like that, of homeowners are willing to hire a questionable tradesperson for a cheaper price. And we thought, wow, that's crazy. That means 70%.
70%. Yeah, you don't look
more.
at the flip side.
That means 70% of your customers are willing to pay more for the right person to do the job for them. All you have to do is prove that you're the right person. Either keep your certifications, put them on your cards, or get a profile on GoCareer, soon to be, like I said, TradeTap, and use that to market yourself. Say,
It's all of the above. Do all of the above, because the
the
more
above,
credibility you have in anywhere they search for you, right? If like you just put your name in there and they search for your name, what's going to pop up?
Yeah. Yep.
I would say that I'm part of that 70% in a lot of different aspects, only because I was part of the 30% for a long time. And you get sick of, well, I thought I was doing it the right way. I thought this was what you were expecting. I guess we misunderstood each other. Or, no, I didn't really have a lot of experience in that. I just figured I could do it. So that's what pushed me to the 70% side.
Yeah, I'd much rather know. I mean, if we apply it, and of course, it's not life or death when you're getting tile installed, but if you apply it to like your doctor, I mean, if you're going to be operating on me, dude, I want to know that you did your stuff, like that you went through the class you was taught, and I mean, someone was your first surgery. I know that. I just don't want to be.
How many frogs did you dissect in middle school?
Yeah, I want to know
just like
that you know your stuff.
Walking into Rollins' office with his all the plaques on his
awards.
wall.
Yeah. Well, Rollin, he's not only such an advocate for the training industry overall, but a great advocate for CFI. And, he's spearheading all of the chapters, and that's another good way to get involved and get into trainings that you wouldn't typically know about, is see if you've got a local chapter of CFI. Those pay dividends past just training, because you get into a community of guys, and you can help one another out. There's nothing better than being able to pick up the phone and call someone and say, hey man, I've been doing this a long time, but I'm in a pickle and I don't know what to do here. And we've all gotten in those situations. We just all didn't have that contact to call.
Right. I got a call this morning from someone that, we haven't really worked with him, right? We've known him for a long time, but then he calls us, he called me and he's like, I just got to pick your brain a little bit. And it was about pricing and stuff, because he's like, I don't do this all the time, and I know you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't count how many times I've gotten calls about, hey, I just need to pick your brain. And I like it after you've been doing it for a lot of years, and your architects or your designers or builders start calling you to ask you how to get something done correctly, even though you may not be able to you may not be the one doing the job. I know you guys have been there too, but it's somewhat rewarding to know that they trust your opinion on the right way to get a project done, and the right products to put in the right areas and how to do that and make sure that you're budget friendly, but at the same time, giving them a great product. So
Jeremy says he picks his brain through his nose, like Ralph Wiggum.
He has a
as
skinny finger.
usual, skinny finger.
Skinny fingers, man.
And then the
Oh,
more knowledge
slim
you get,
man.
the more knowledge you get, you will have more people calling you, right? You'll have tech guys calling you. I get tech guys calling me. I have inspectors calling me, just because they're like, man, I just have never seen this before. And a majority of the time, it's like, yes, I've ran into that before because I was on my knees for 25 years, so
Mm-hmm.
you
Well,
see a
and
lot.
That's it.
That's it,
that's the
man.
thing.
That's it.
That's the thing. Like,
Some of that was on his
a
butt.
lot of the tech guys, they may not have been down on the floor for as many years, installing. Uh, some of them not at all. And the truth is that we run across things on I'm sure on a monthly basis that is outside of what's on that piece of paper telling you how to install. And you got to be able to have years of experience and the education. A lot of the education courses will talk about, hey, when you run into this scenario, what do you do? And they teach you how to deal with that. I know the floor prep, that's the NFIC. Don't they do a good job of that kind of, uh, situational or project awareness stuff when you're doing your floor prep?
Not
Not
necessarily
the
floor prep.
NFIC.
I was gonna say
Sorry.
NAFCT.
NICT.
NAFCT. My
Yeah.
bad. Too many acronyms.
My eye was twitching. I'm like, I think he's talking
I,
about different one.
I was gonna correct you because I was gonna say I don't know about NFIC, but NAFCT has a
Yeah, the
really good
NAFCT.
substrate and subfloor program. It's very, I want to say it's entry level, right? Because that's the way it's marketed, but it goes really in depth on the science behind things and why you should know it.
Yeah. And
Learning a
just
little
as
bit
a
more.
reminder to everybody, today's episode is sponsored by Shag Tools. I'm going to pop up their QR code. Get on Shag Tools and go get yourself 10% off all your floor prep materials, your tools. Make sure to show them some love. But yeah, I mean, I think that when you understand that, like, knowledge is power, I know that's a cliche saying, but it's true. Later on in your career, what we were talking about earlier, yeah, maybe you do want to leave on your knees, so to speak. But the truth is, opening up those doors, you at least have some options because you never
There
know
you
what's going to
go.
happen. I mean, I did have an installer that installed till he was probably 80. His name was Dwayne. Nickname was Cowboy, and he was an old tile installer, and he installed till he's probably 80. He was also one of the most financially responsible installers I knew. He had taken almost every dime he made. He invested in classic cars or stock market. I mean, he was just one of those guys. And that's
I
another
think,
thing we can learn as installers is, like, invest your money, don't spend it all. That's all. We've dealt with that in other episodes, but
yeah, I think the
and
older
it's
guys
always good
that
to save 10% from Shag Tools too, guys. So
the older guys that I've seen in it have been the same way. They work for like the insurance or something because they're
Mm-hmm.
like, technically I don't need to, but I need the insurance. So
Yep.
yep.
And I remember the gentleman that I'm visioning, I worked with years ago, and he was 77 at the time, and it's just like, why are you still here? He's like, I need something to do. I need insurance. My wife needs
Yeah.
insurance, and I like you guys.
a,
But
a
Yeah, and
lot of
there's not
them,
so much of that. Not so much of that with the sub community these days.
no,
Everybody
no,
subcontracts, and so I mean that's one of the things that you got to consider when you are doing your, like, when you're doing projects is you need to make sure you're making enough money to buy health insurance and take care of yourself. And that's why, a lot of the guys that's why I'm such a big pusher for training. A lot of the guys get out there and they want to make this big money, and they learn for 6 months and they go out and they fail their way to money. But they're not really operating as a business. They're not really treating their profession as a profession. And that's what the huddle's all about, is trying to encourage you guys to take that next step. And training is just a huge part of that as well. And when we talk about training and learning, we've talked a lot about the hand skills and stuff, but for all you subs out there, you got to be educated when it comes to taxes and finances as well. I've seen more guys go down because of taxes and finances than anything. That, and frankly, sad to say, drugs. Those three things have taken out more good installers than anything. So,
Or the
So learn more
sauce.
about drugs.
The
the
sauce.
sauce, yeah, the sauce will get you too.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I got insurance too, but I got it through my wife, so it's not through my work. I had made her fill out a form when we were first dating, and I asked her what kind of insurance she had, and she filled out PPO, and I was like, she has a PPO, she's a keeper. So yeah, I branch off of her, so I pay her for my PPO insurance. So I was like, if she has an HMO, I don't know.
I
So
don't
I got to
know,
make sure she
honey.
wakes up early in the morning. I got to make sure she goes to work on time. I'm like,
Cooking
what
her
do I do?
breakfast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
making
Go
her
get that
breakfast, having her
insurance.
lunch.
She'll be like,
yeah.
I'm sick today, and you'll be like, I don't know. I think you should
I
still
don't
go in.
know.
Gotta
Let me,
gotta keep that
yeah,
insurance.
How
let me make
sick?
you
Sure
some
about
chicken
that?
soup.
How
And
sick are you?
I think one of the things that a lot of people don't really think about is like literacy in the blue collar work, right? It's I just looked it up. It's saying that close to 21% of blue collar workers have issues with literacy, and you can definitely see that. So it's like, if sometimes it's as simple as just picking up a magazine and starting to read, because it's just like anything else. If you don't do it,
Repetition.
you're not going to get better at it.
Yeah, train that brain. It's part of this too.
I think maybe
Training.
sometimes, especially like sometimes that's why people don't want to do it, because they don't want to see that embarrassment of people knowing that they don't know how to read or something. And you see that, especially on the Spanish speaking side, is they don't want to do it because it's not in my language. Or I mean, sometimes even then, they can't read or write in their own language.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what it is. But there's you just have to do it, and you're
Yeah,
not
that's
going to
a
get
whole
better
nother
unless you
People on the
start.
podcast.
Spanish side are brutal though, bro. Like it's the culture's
Bro,
different. They'll just like knock on you all day. Versus
Oh,
English, like there's a lot of people that speak English language.
we bring that to
They
the
could be
English
mean, but
side of things.
there's more
yeah,
nice
yeah,
people.
100%.
Spanish is brutal,
So, well, the
man.
thing is, the difference is that the Spanish side, they're going to knock you to your face. The English side is they're going to wait till you can't see or hear them. I will tell you that. So we get the best of both worlds, bro. I just want to throw that in there. But you're right, Daniel. A long time ago, I think I was probably 17, 18 years old. And I started realizing even the people that I didn't feel were very intellectual, they weren't dumb, but every day they would read the newspaper. They would read. Uh, they were involved in reading. They were very literate, and they knew how to articulate themselves even better than I did. Even though they might not have had the best job, the best career, but they can talk and they can read and they can flow, and they were comfortable in this because they practiced it every day.
Well, I mean, at the root of all this, that's what we're talking about, is being self-motivated for your training, for
Mm-hmm.
your education, whether that's, I mean, there's no more valuable asset you have in your life than yourself. So invest there. you know like, you can't do your family any good, you can't do your friends any good, you can't do any charities any good, you can't do anybody any good if you yourself if you're not taking care of yourself. So we've had mental health episodes on here, um, because of that, because we understand, we believe that you got to take care of yourself, and one of those things is being self-educated. So I just encourage everybody, reach out to CFI, reach out to NAFCT, reach out to
CTEF,
CTEF, the NWFA.
FCEF.
Like, you can literally just Google flooring trainings and you're going to flooring certifications and you will find these people. If you're in the wood, it's the NWFA. If you want to do hardwood, those kinds of things, go get educated. Do not sleep on yourself. Make yourself the best you can be, and you'll be in high demand. There's no doubt about it. Everybody that I know that's done really well in this industry, that was really in high demand, had took their career seriously. Like, they went and they got the education, they got the certifications, they got the trainings, they invested in themselves. So I encourage everybody to do that. And I know you
If you're
guys
gonna
do
be in
too.
this, if you're gonna be in this business for the rest of your life, you might as well make something of it. So
Amen.
just keep on trucking, keep on trucking.
FCITS for inspectors.
There you go.
Yes. Yeah, it's another great avenue for installers who may want to move to a different aspect of the business, is inspecting. So you can look that up as well. And, frankly, when I was installing on an everyday basis, I wish I would have went to some inspector courses to learn that side of it. Just, I think it would have made me a better installer. And I think that's kind of a common thought today, is that, installers ought to look at getting in. If you've gotten certified or you've went through different installation courses, checking out the inspector side of the world wouldn't hurt you. So, all right, well, we've come to the end. I want to thank Shag Tools for sponsoring this episode. I want to thank all of our participants in the chat. Sorry we didn't get to all of you guys, but we got the flow in here. So if you have any topics you'd like for us to cover, we're coming up on the end of our topic list, and so we'd love to get your feedback. Jump on Facebook, hit us up on there and let us know what you'd like to see, what you'd like for us to talk about, any experts you'd like us to bring in, that kind of thing. We're here for you guys. We want to help you in your careers. I don't care even if you're a drywaller watching this, but all the trades are welcome. We are a flooring trade here, but all the trades, this stuff is like not trade specific, so I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down. Like Jose always says, we don't care. Just interact with us and let us know what we're doing that you love and maybe that you don't.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Everyone.
All right, guys. Appreciate you. We'll see you guys next
Laters.
week.
Thanks, Kevin. Hi to Kevin.